5, 6, 7. What about your friends? Will they stand their ground? Will they let you down here? Oh, what about your friends? Are they gonna be low down? Will they ever be around? Or will they turn their backs on you? Too much?
What you think we talking about today?
Best intro. Hold on. Let's just take a moment.
That was pretty good. That was all legit right there.
Today we are talking about friendships.
Because tell me who your friends are and that will tell you your future.
Ain't that the truth? We're going to talk about how to get them, how to keep them, and what happens when they go wrong.
Let's do it. Y'all ready? Let's do it.
So now you guys know we are both pretty much the same age. You are getting ready to be 39
in November.
I'll be 38 in October. So at this point in our lives, there's always like this thing. Okay, so do you do no new friends? Are you still open to making friends? Are we too old to be trying to make new friends? Like, how does it work? So what would you say? First of all, what's your feeling about
Okay,
y'all know
listen,
how Shauna is.
Now, those of you who have been with us for a while, so I have been known to be a no new friends motto type person. Now, I will say there is something about this season of my life that is shifting that just a smidge. I feel like I have grown in that area a lot. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was just me being in that relationship and being around people constantly for a year and a half that kind of made me realize like, oh, wow, like I really am happier when people are around.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that. I don't know what it was, but I think now I'm. If you've been with us for a while, you know that I'm very careful about the people that I allow into my life. And that I stand by.
Yeah.
But I do think that, God brings people into our lives. But I just think it is really up to us to cultivate those relationships. But also it is just incredibly important to just be very discerning about any people that you bring into your life.
I agree. Yeah, I've felt the same way. I used to always, especially at work, I would like look at people in disgust and bewilderment if they even attempted to bring up like being friends with your coworkers, because sometimes trying to be someone's friend is just code for you trying to be nosy. You just trying to figure out what somebody's doing in their life. And I used to always say, I don't make friends with my coworkers because I already got friends outside of work. And I was always closed off. Girl, that was my life's motto.
Interesting.
I was always closed off to making friends at work. I was closed off to making friends at church.
Amen.
Because you never know. I mean, you just never know. I had never really done that. It wasn't something that I felt comfortable with. And I've been blessed. Y'all know I'm kind of a people person. So I had already been blessed to have like a good core group of friends, of people that I knew from growing up and what have you. And I was just like, I don't need no extra friends. Like, I just didn't feel like I needed any. And then probably, you start getting a little older, a little wiser. And like Shauna said, just discerning. It did start to get to a point to where I was like, should I open like I just started asking myself. I still felt very hesitant about it, but I was like, should I start opening myself up to being people's, friends that I wasn't already friends with? And then you were probably like my first person that I really was like, went out on a limb to befriend. Because, you guys already know the story, but from the worship team, at first, you weren't on singing when I first came. You were, but then you stopped and then you came back. No, I don't.
I was going hard when you first came.
When I first came.
Then I got married.
Yeah.
And then I stopped.
Yes. Yep. So when you first came, when I first came, sorry, Shanna was already in it. Like, they had it all on lock. And I was just coming, so I was kind of just like putting my toe into it. So by the time you left for a little bit, that's when I was in there really heavy.
Yes.
So we kind of missed each other in that train, but obviously we knew who each other was. So I was able to develop like a friendship with Missy and some of the other people because we were always together. But Shauna and I weren't always, worshiping together at that point. And then even we would be at like different campuses maybe because like you guys were always at 96.
Yeah.
And I was at Fisher's. But anyway, long story short, you guys know how we ended up being friends. It's because of this channel, of the YouTube channel.
Yes. Which I'm so grateful for, too.
Yeah, us getting together and telling our divorce stories. And then Missy was supposed to be with us. And then Missy couldn't end up being with us. And then I was kind of like feeling nervous. Like, should I ask Shauna if she still wants to get together? Or if she just wants to cancel? And I asked her and she said she did. And then the rest was history. But it doesn't always go.
It does not.
That way. Because I feel the same way. I feel I'm always like very skeptical of people. So sometimes when I meet new people, I have a tendency to like keep them at arm's length. If I cannot tell that your energy matches my energy, chances are I'm not going to, I'll still be friendly. I'll still be, cordial and all that stuff. But in terms of like you being in my home,
right,
me being in your home,
right,
us really talking and sharing things about life, like, nah, chances of me doing that are something none. So then after Shauna and I became friends, and I started to think like, okay, well, God, let me not close myself off to any potential friends. I ended up, some of my coworkers now have really become like my good friends. So you guys will possibly, hopefully, meet one in one of the future videos that we'll do. But it's like actually a guy, one of my coworkers. His name is Michael, and then another coworker whose name is Lori. She's actually almost like an adopted mom in a way. She helps me with the mom type stuff. And then the lady who used to be my boss, we were co-workers, and then she got promoted and she was my boss. And now, since I'm in a new position, I have a new boss, but she and I are still good friends. So I was really glad that I kind of like opened my perspective on that, because I felt like I could have really been missing out in a time when I really needed extra people in my life.
For sure.
Because some things with my immediate family, there was some friction and things weren't the same. So I needed people and I had them. So sorry to take so long.
No.
But that's kind of my thing.
What was I going to say? I had something on my mind as you were talking. I feel like for me, I'm more into like meeting people in an organic way. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like it just has to, like, for example, the worship team. Going into the worship team, like I'm a friendly person. Like I feel like would you say, I don't know how, I was a little bit, when there's already a group, like a clique, I guess you could say, I'm kind of like.
But y'all, hold on. Because the funny thing is, y'all were already the clique.
Well, that's what I mean.
So, yeah.
We were the clique, so when anybody new coming in, it was like.
Yeah. I was going to say, so when I came in, it was like, y'all was already like.
I don't know.
And honestly.
You look nice and everything.
I just was like. I just pushed my way on in there.
She was like, you going to be my friend.
Yeah.
I was like, fine.
But tell the truth. Didn't you say you asked Missy about me? You asked her if I was cool or something like that. Didn't you say that?
I don't think I did.
Either she told me that or you told me that.
I mean, I could see myself. I don't remember asking her that, but I could see myself being like, well, so is Geraldine really cool? Because I'm so. Oh, I'm so scared. Because just like you said, people can get messy. Like, here's when I start to trust people. For example, I have a friend who, at first, her coming in, I was just like, she seems cool, but I don't know. But then, like, we were just in conversation randomly, and she told me something that I know she did not tell anybody. Like, I know she did not tell anybody else. So she made herself vulnerable and told me, like, a secret. That immediately made me respect her, just because she wasn't one of those people who pretended to be perfect, and she allowed herself to be vulnerable. That makes me connect with people, is vulnerability. Because I'm a very open person. Like, it's so weird because, like, I allow myself to be really vulnerable, but I still am, like, really, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you said, letting people in your home and, like, talking
you're
about
just guarded. You're, like, super
guarded, but I'm also, like, it's my choice when I tell you and how I tell you. Like, I will have no problem telling, like, a really vulnerable story to a group of people. Like, if we're out to dinner or whatever, just to share my testimony or share my story or whatever. But I have control over that. Like, I'm not, like, I would still tell the person, even if I don't want to be their friend, but I'm still not gonna let you in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like having relationships that kind of develop slowly over time are the best way. I'm not really the kind of person that is comfortable necessarily with, like, meeting someone out or be like, oh, we should hang out sometime. Yeah. Like, this is a good example too. Janae, my friend Janae, she's now one of my best friends, but when we met at church, which I was already like, because I feel the same way. I feel like, and it's funny because Janae and I were, like, talking with this girl at church, and she was like, oh yeah, we should come. I was like, I'm really, careful about, like, meeting people and just, like, letting people in. She's like, oh, how come? I was like, because I don't really want to know who you really are. Like, I think it's easy just because I feel like, relationship is a relationship. The only difference between romantic and friendship is the dynamic. Yeah. So people still put on a good, front and still wear, they send their representative even in friendships. So I'm very aware of that. And, when it gets down and dirty and then you start feeling like you can talk to them and share things with them, and then you don't even know, like, I don't even know you enough to know what you're going to do with this information. If I tell you something, like, I wasn't willing to tell a lot of people, like, I don't know, I'm really skeptical about that. But Janae really bum rushed her way into my life. We went to lunch one day, and I mean, we hit it off. Like, she was really vulnerable, and she was fun, and we laughed, and we were there for hours talking, blah, blah, blah. But then I just went home, and I was just like, that was cool, and she was, like, calling me. And then she calls again. She calls like this. She called me every day, all the time. Like, oh my God, this happened. Needs to leave me alone. But I'm glad she didn't, because now it's like I feel like I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel like a lot of the people that are the closest in my life are the people that have, like, beat me down. And, like, not beat me down, but, like, beat down my door to get to me kind of thing. I was gonna say, like, be my friend. Like, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna pursue your friendship.
I think what you're saying, because of the fact you guys know Shanna is an introvert, and she wants friends.
I do.
She really wants friends,
and I have really.
But
great
she
ones.
doesn't like to do any of the things that it would take to make a friend or become friends. So if you're a person like me who, like, met Shanna, and then you just get to know them and you're like, oh, they're cool, you're gonna have to be the one who initiates the friendship or, like, the connecting, because she's not going to initiate it, but she will respond to it, though. Because one thing that's, like, very weird about you that I've noticed, but that I really liked. So you seem standoffish. The standoffish part is not your personality. I really think it's just, like, your guard because of like lots of things that you've been through. But her actual personality, like, when you get to know you and, like, just even overhearing you talk to people and have conversations, you are more kind-hearted, I think, than a lot of people that I come across. You have your little ways, but you're so kind-hearted that I was like, okay, I could really see our friendship going well, because once I get through the moat in front of the castle and the drawbridge and everything else, like, she actually is such a sweet and kind-hearted person. But again, it's like with the discerning, you have to like know how do you figure that out.
Right.
And for me, I feel like, and to not be churchy and say like the Holy Spirit, but that's what it is. But if I call it like a vibe, it's a vibe that I get from a person when I very first meet them, of like, oh, this person, like, yes, or oh, this person, no.
Yeah.
Whenever I do not trust my initial instinct, I always regret it. Yeah. So, but the problem was I couldn't get a good initial instinct on you because we never talked.
That's true, actually.
Shauna would be somewhere.
I'd be running around the church with Eli.
You would see her on the stage, but then like if it wasn't like the active rehearsal part, you could look around and it would be like, where is she even at? Like, I wouldn't have been able to interact with you enough to even have a conversation with you to figure out if I liked you, because you was always ducked off in a corner somewhere.
That's actually very true.
So, like, I kind of noticed, like, you wouldn't want to necessarily, unless it was the people that you knew. Yeah. You wouldn't be back with the newer people or anything like that. You would kind of just be with the people that you knew. So I understood. But once I actually got a chance to talk to you and observe you in your natural habitat, I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, she's cool. She has a good heart. Now, I'll tell you guys a funny story. I had a coworker. I feel like she was almost the trauma of my no coworkers as friends.
Oh no. She was pushy, like you're saying how Janae was kind of pushy, but I don't respond well to that, so you gotta know what your boundaries are. I remember she would always be like, let's hang out. And you know, I'm not a hanger-outer in the first place. So I don't not unless it's people that I know already. So it's very rare that you could just be my coworker or a person who just knows me casually and be like, let's go hang out, because I'm probably going to say no. Unless it's a group situation. I don't like to hang out with people one-on-one. I'm like, I don't even know you like that. Right.
So she was always asking me, and there wasn't hardly any other black people on our staff except for me and her. We were both a similar age. And it just seemed like maybe we should be friends, but I don't know. It's like, do you force it? Do you not force it? Anyway, so we went and hung out. Our personalities are very different. It was fine. You know, I'm talking to her. She's talking to me, yada, yada, yada. But I still remember. So after we hung out, like you said, I'm like, okay, that was cool. That wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be. You know, I'm at home. And she either the next day or like within that first 24 hours, she either called me or texted me and was like, hey, like I had a really fun time, you know, really great time, yada, yada, yada. And I think my response was just like not to her liking. It was maybe like lackluster. Because I was like, oh, you know, yeah, that's great. Thank you for inviting me or something like that. I said something polite. So then the next time I saw her at work, she was like, you know, me and my friends, anytime that we hang out or we go do something, afterwards we all tell each other, I was so happy to see you. I was so... It was almost like she was trying to coach me on...
Like, this is what I need you to say next time.
This is what I need you to do after we hang out. Then afterwards I need you to call. And I was like, no. First, there's so many things wrong in that scenario.
So
but the number one thing that's wrong is you're not going to tell me what to do.
Right.
You can't tell me how to respond to you and be your friend. So just like that energy of that.
It's like that's almost a precursor to what the relationship would be like.
I'm like, nah, I'm cool. That's not going to be. But we are both, and I think because we both have we both don't really do nothing, to be honest. I don't. So I would say that we don't have a demanding energy on each other. Like, it fits very well into, this is what I have to give. This is what you have to give.
And I think I mesh better with people who have their own stuff going, because it's not, there's no, like, I'm not a needy person, I mean, I have needy moments, but I don't respond well. I mean, I've had friends that I was really close with for a little while, but it kind of turned into that kind of thing. This is what I need. And it's okay. I think it's completely okay for you as a friend to be like, you know, I feel like I need this from you in this season of my life. Like, maybe I need a little bit more support or like, you know, to basically ask for it, but to be like, this is how you need to respond. Like, that's totally different. And like the neediness of like, almost like I'm your man. Like I'm not your man. Like, don't treat me like I'm your man. I don't need, like, no, that's not my place. Like, no.
Right.
And that kind of stuff I don't respond to. Like, I don't, you know, it's so interesting when you say I'm not really the kind of person to initiate. That kind of like stands out. Yeah. Because I haven't, over the last, I know you guys, ever since I've been vlogging, like I have been very withdrawn. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just like just this season of my life where I needed just more one-on-one time with God. I needed to kind of step away because I feel like for so many years I was like saturated just being around people all the time. And it wasn't until I moved to Indiana. Like, I mean, especially when I was younger, like I always had to be around somebody. I could never be alone, like ever. And then I moved to Indiana, turned my life to the Lord, and then I didn't have anybody. But then I started, you know, I feel like I met friends pretty quickly, and then I was always hanging out, but there was never, I feel like I just went through a time where I needed to be like out in the woods with the Lord alone, you know? And so like I didn't want to hang out ever. And I went from being like a yes person to a no person. And now I feel like I'm at a point where the people that are left, which I don't feel bad about that though, because I feel like the people that have stuck by me through like my wilderness season, I guess you could say, are the people that truly see my value, and that truly want to invest in me, and they're in it through thick and thin. Like, and that's not to excuse because I don't feel like I've been the best friend, to be honest, over the last several years to some people. Not because I don't love them, but because I just needed to figure myself out. But I feel like now I'm at a point where it's time for me to invest, and like now I've had plenty of time with the Lord. Now I feel really confident and comfortable, and now I feel like I have the fuel to pour into others. Yeah,
and you have to know like what stage you are in your life, because what you're gonna need, just like you said, changes depending on like what's going on in your life, depending on how healthy you feel, just like in your heart.
For sure.
Because I know you've known me long enough, so all of our core of friends from the worship team, you guys have all known me long enough that when we started being friends, the person that I was then is not the person that I am now.
For sure. Yeah.
So I have over the last 5 years, I would say, I've gone through such a dramatic transformation, and that's kind of the same period of time that we all have been friends, that you guys have seen like that whole journey.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you would say, even though we only more recently started getting close, the friend that I was then is not anywhere near the friend that I am now, because I was not really pouring out to people at that time, because I was just like in a place more so of a deficit for myself. Like I was just trying to get filled up.
Right. I was trying to make it.
I'm just trying to survive.
Basically.
Okay. Scratching and surviving, but not good times. And so now that I feel just happier, and of course I still struggle, but I just feel happier and more whole as a person, I feel like I'm able to put out more to my friends. So the kind of like the same thing that you just said, like, yeah, you guys have seen my transformation, because I wasn't the same as when you guys first met me as I am now. Hopefully I'm a better friend.
I feel like you were a good friend even when we first met.
I mean, yeah, I've always been the same person.
Yeah, but you just like, I don't know. It has been kind of cool to see your journey. I feel like more than anything, your transformation has been like in regards to your thinking and your
well, it's been a lot of things too that maybe you wouldn't even see.
Yeah.
Just because I've had so many struggles from just like way back before y'all even ever knew me. But that too.
Yeah.
My thinking or my...
Which is really cool, actually.
Just everything. There's been a shift.
Yes. And that's beautiful. That's what's supposed to happen.
And that's why I feel like the friends, so to sticking to the topic that we're talking about with friends, when you're trying to figure out, okay, should I even allow someone in my space to be my friend, especially at the age that most of us are at, it's being able to see like how committed is that person to personal growth and evolution. Like that's one thing that I always noticed or knew about you, was that you were always committed to growing and just being better. So I knew like there were friends all at the time that's what I needed, because that was like the beginning of the journey that I was on. And all of my friends that I've had from childhood, which are still my friends, mind you. But you know how some friends go into the background a little bit and then some friends kind of step forward, just depending on where you need them to be. Absolutely. So that's exactly what happened. Like all of my friends that were more so like, we're trying to grow and we're trying to go deeper into God, they all came to the forefront. And then my other friends that we still, I mean, it's not like we're not friends, but their role shifted to more of just like a supporting role.
Right. Totally.
And in the background, and so yeah. But anyway, so you got to have different friends for different seasons, or your friendship has to grow into all the different seasons of your life in order for your friendship to maintain.
Let's talk about childhood friends. I feel like this is
I have more childhood friends than I have new friends.
That's so interesting. I don't know how I feel about like. I feel like it depends. So many people I see are still friends with the same people they were friends with like in high school and things like that, which I think is cool. But I guess like, I don't know, like do I have any? Looking back, I'm like, do I have any? I mean, I have people who I would call friends, but I don't. Like, I haven't really talked to any of the people that I was really close with growing up that used to be, like, my best friends, because we just grew apart. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's not that, like, if I were to talk to them or see them, I'd be like, oh my gosh, hi, how are you doing? Like, it would be all good. It's not like we were, like, angry with each other, but I just feel like we just grew apart. Mm-hmm. We were just on different pages, and it just kind of became that. Do you feel like you and your childhood friends are on the same page?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, and I've always felt like this was just like a blessing, all of my friends, we all had similar journeys. Now, we're all very different people, so everyone's not at the same point necessarily, but one of my close friends, she really went through like a deepening in her relationship with God. As a matter of fact, her and her son had started going to Heartland after I started going, and I told them, and was coming and got baptized and all that stuff. So I would go to her house sometimes on Saturdays, me and another friend of hers, and we would have like little Bible studies. We would do, I can't remember, there was like a video series you could watch and then have a conversation after that. But then another one of my friends, she's married, she has kids who are a little bit younger than my kids, but maybe around the same age. We had the same, we were sharing a journey in like parenting and motherhood. So we were not all growing in exactly the same categories, in exactly the same ways, but we all started going forward in the same direction in so many things that like overlapped, that it was just very easy and natural for us to like just keep the bond that we have, and the group texts where you're laughing and cracking jokes and trying to plan trips. And it's like, that is a core group of friends that I will always have. And I feel like it's a comfort to me because even though I've been through so many things, I really am still the same person that I've always been. So to have someone that has known you, the same for Kobe, to have a friend that has known you your whole life since you were a little kid, that you don't have to explain stuff to and give the backstory to, because it's like they've been there. Like, to me, that's so dope.
I think it is. It's so interesting how different everybody's journey is so different, because I think back about who I used to be.
Yeah.
I am not even remotely close to the same person.
Yeah.
Like, not even a little bit. I mean, it's amazing. So I almost like, I don't know if there's a little part of me that runs away from anything that reminds me of who I used to be.
That's probably a part of it.
A part of it, yeah. Like, I mean, I didn't run away from my childhood. I mean, honestly, I didn't really have a ton of friends growing up. I've never been the kind of person that had, like, a ton of friends. I've always been kind of, like, with people. But I've had, like, specifically one childhood friend who we ended up not talking anymore because I was the only one making effort. Mm-hmm. And they'd be like, oh, I'm going to come see you. And then, like, 15 years later, they still haven't come. But then they go into, like, Jamaica and, like, all these tropical places. And I'm like, well, I'm, like, one state away. Like,
yeah. And all of my friends live here. So I have not had that experience where I've moved or my friends are, like, in another state. Like, we're in Indiana and all of my friends just so happen to still be here in Indiana. Yeah. So that makes it a little bit easier too.
But yeah, and then so I think, other than that, I think she's pretty much the only friend that I was like this with for my whole life, really. And then we just kind of fell off because, like, I mean, there's only so much you can. This is a good thing to touch base on friendships who don't reciprocate. I think it's interesting because this is where discernment comes into. Yeah. Because, I've had like that friendship, for example, or other friendships that they weren't making the same kind of effort. And I could easily say, when I wasn't making the kind of effort, my friends could have ditched me and I would have totally understood, but they didn't. But then there's friends where you need to let go of. Like, where it just feels right to let go of. It feels like it's time to let go of them because, like, you're just not... I don't know how to really explain it. Yeah. But you just know it's just time to let go. And then there are the friends where, maybe things are getting hard. Like, I've talked to Andrea about this. She was one friend that I wanted to let go of, like, early on in our friendship, but the Lord told me no. Like, I was just like, she's draining me, God. You need to stay. Like, this was, like, back when we first met, like, in 2007 or 8. I wanted to let go of that friendship, but the Lord said, no, I want you to still be friends with her. And I was, like, annoyed by that. But now that is my ride or die. Yeah. Like, she is my best friend. And if I didn't listen to what the Lord was saying in that time, I could have missed out on what we have now. But I think, it's just really, you have to really be discerning and just make sure that it's the Lord telling you to stay in those friendships and not just the convenience or the comfort of having anyone in your life. And it can get tricky, but I just think it's just so important who you surround yourself with. But I think it is really cool that you can have that, knowing somebody your whole life.
I feel like that's pretty rare anymore, especially because, people do move and they're so easy to go in so many different directions in life that I feel pretty grateful very often that I'm like, man, I still have, like, some of the same friends that I've had. Now, mind you, I'm not still friends with everybody that I was friends with.
Your core people.
I have a good friend that we may text on occasion, and she's a teacher, so, like, I support, things that her classroom does. Like, sometimes she may be trying to raise money for something for her classroom, and I'll give to that cause. Like, we support each other, but we don't necessarily really, like, talk or communicate. So I have a lot of people like that, where it's like, yeah, we're cool, but we're not close friends. But then I have, like, essentially it's a group of 5 of us that are just, like, still our same core group of friends, one of who does live out of state. And when we were in college, we used to call ourselves the Golden Girls. Now, obviously, the Golden Girls has 4, but there's 5 of us. One of those 5 has actually been interchanged. It was like a Destiny's Child situation, but it's okay. It's okay though. So it's a 5 of us, the Black Golden Girls, if you will.
That's funny.
I always oscillated between being Blanche and probably Sophia. So if y'all are Golden Girls fans, then y'all know what that is. But in any event, but yeah, there's definitely been times that we've all been able to get together more, and then there's been times when we've been able to get together less. I think especially when you start having kids, because your life just gets so busy.
Yeah.
But we all talk on a very regular basis. We were actually starting to get together to see each other more on a regular basis before COVID. And then obviously we all know what all happened last year. So we're all trying to see if we can plan a trip or something for the summer, or do something where we can get back together. And one of my friends, she has like the sweetest husband, and he even like texts me and he's like, you know, how you doing today, sis? Like, how's everything? So it's just really awesome, because it's just so comforting. All of the different things that I've done over the years, honey, because before I was doing Red Aspen with you, I was doing Mary Kay and Avon and back and back and back. I've always done some little side thing. Like, that's always been interesting to me. And they done supported them all. They probably be like, here she come with a new thing. But they always support.
That's sweet.
They always be like, I'm going to order something. So, yeah, it's really cool. So, I'm thankful for them, but I'm thankful, too, for new friends who have been with me for any, like, certain, because the fact that we were all in the worship team and we were united, especially more specifically by singing and worshiping, because worship in a lot of ways is a lifestyle.
For sure.
That was something that I needed, too, because my core group of friends, we all are Christians, but we're not necessarily all in the same place in that specific regard. So to have people that you can go, and a couple of them are, but to have a group of people where you can really go deep into your conversations about God and stuff like that, that was really something that I know God sent to me specifically, something that I really needed. And then, yeah, my coworker friends. So you guys may have known from like another video, I have gone through something with my immediate family where our family kind of got fractured, and so like I'm estranged from my dad, and things have just been kind of weird. So my one guy coworker friend, he's old enough to be my dad. I don't know if he necessarily, I don't think he's trying to
I can't even imagine that. He looks so
I know.
young.
You guys will meet him in another video. It's not that I'm just like trying to replace my dad or anything, but he is almost like that big brother, uncle, like that male mentor type energy that I really needed when all of that happened. And so I was really thankful to God for that, because to be able to have a platonic male friend and just a male perspective and point of view and advice, I think for a woman is like really beneficial. And then I still am close with my mom. Like, me and my mom will always be close, but because of everything that had happened, I wasn't able to see her as much and all that. And so then one of my other coworker friend, her name is Lori, she almost stepped into that type of role. And when I would want to, be cooking something, she would be the one that would help me or that I would ask questions to. So it's almost like God has always sent what I needed specifically at the time I needed it. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't sabotaging myself by not being receptive to, like, being open to those types of friendships when they were coming, because I have had in the past a fear of being vulnerable or being transparent, because for those of y'all who are familiar with the environment of like a black church, and they're not all like that, so I'm not trying to say that this is all black churches, but there are a lot of toxic black churches that I've been to in the past. So you get close to people and they use what they find out against you, or they use what they like, you just never know how it would go. So I've always just been burnt out on trying to be open and vulnerable with people, because it has backfired on me so many times. So that's why I was really close off, even specifically to being friends with people from church. But as it's, as I've evolved and changed, that's changed. And I still talk with the women from the small group that I was in from our old church. and we're all talking about getting together. So, and they are all older women than me, which I think there's a lot of blessing in that too, because you definitely need older.
Yes.
If you don't have an older woman mentor friend in your life, get you a few if you can.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have done. Like Dory, I know I talk about Dory a lot. Dory, and you met Dory, that's right. She is, oh my gosh, like she was actually who introduced me to like healing rooms. She basically transformed my relationship with the Lord, basically. We usually text like every single day, and then she'll like, you know, the Lord will give her words for me, and like I'll get a word for her. Like, so she is my, I think for me, I don't know. And this, let me know what you think about this. Because do I have friends that don't know the Lord? I don't think I do. I feel like I have a good amount of friends. But like my core people are, you know, people who love the Lord, not perfect. We all out here struggling, but we all out here trying to be the best we can be. But we're all like driven and motivated, and we want more. We want, you know, we strive to be the best versions of ourselves, even though we fall short on a regular basis. I don't think I have any friends that don't know the Lord, now that I think about it.
I would say I have one that doesn't, and I don't even want to say doesn't know the Lord, because I feel like some people just don't like church and don't like all of that. So I go to church and I take my kids to church, all that jazz. So let's say if I met someone, specifically a guy who, because when you ask people like, are you a Christian? We have to do a better job of asking the right types of questions, because you could be a Christian, but their life still may not match up to my life in terms of what's important.
Equally yoked.
Because not everybody likes church. Not everybody wants to go to church. Now, can you still be a Christian without going to church? Yeah, I think you can. Absolutely. And I know that people, you know, may say, well, you know, in the Bible it says, and y'all, I get that. I really do. Because the reason why I go to church is because I feel like it's important for me and my family. But you can still be a Christian without church. So I definitely have a friend who was like 100% all the way off that. Like,
oh, really?
Even you would, you know, you would still go sometimes, and you've gone like very, you know, regularly at different points of your life. But I have a friend who's just like, no, I'm not on that. And this particular friend is a, like, character wise, morals and stuff like that, is a wonderful and great person. I've had people ask me over the years, what about being a Christian makes someone a good person? Because it seems like people have called themselves Christians and been so raggedy. And I feel like that's a really good question. So I really what's important to me is that, of course, I want people around me who share my beliefs. But at this point, I don't even necessarily feel like I need for a person who's my friend. I'm not talking about husband. We got to be on the same page. But I wouldn't even necessarily need a friend who is a Christian. But there's only two things that we got to be on the same page. You can't be disrespectful or dismissive about what I believe.
Right.
Like, you can't, if I start talking about God or say something, you can't be cracking jokes and making fun and all the other stuff. Like, you have to be respectful of me and I have to be respectful of you. Well, maybe that's just the one thing, but that's really it. So if you are a Christian or not a Christian, as long as you really, really, really do live your life in a way that upholds like those same types of principles, which a lot of Christian people don't. Like, a lot of Christian people still treat people bad. Like, I'm not trying to go off on a tangent.
That's real though.
But if you treat me and others well, if you're respectful, if you're kind, if you're nice, and all that stuff, I can be your friend, even if you don't necessarily, you know, want to go to church or feel like any of that is important. Because I've been around people who feel like that stuff is very important and have treated me like trash.
That's real.
So,
see, I'm a little different. I need to be equally yoked with my friends. Now, we don't have to be obviously in the exact same place. It's just, I don't know. I think for me, and I don't know, I'm not an easily influenced person, but I think that for me, it's so easy to start like shifting your mindset, like, oh, well, maybe that's okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, maybe that's okay.
Are you sure you're not an easily influenced person?
I mean, I think all of us are influenced. I'm not easily influenced, but if I hang out with somebody enough, like that's why
you'll start to like.
Yeah, I'm really, really careful about who I let in my life, because I feel like no matter how easily or not easily influenced you may think you are, we all can be influenced, and it's so subtle. And I think that, I don't know, like life is already hard. I'm already out here really trying. Like, I think that like the people that I allow in my life, I mean, okay, if I have an acquaintance, cool. Yeah. We go out to dinner every now and then. Like, I call you a friend, but like we don't really kick it or talk like on a regular basis. That's different. But if it's somebody that I talk to like a lot and hang out with a lot, and like you're like in my core group, we have to be equally yoked. That's just me. Just because I don't know. I feel like that is important.
Just about that specifically, or about everything in general?
I think it's one of those things. I think when it comes to personal growth, which I feel like, you know, your relationship with the Lord and personal growth kind of goes hand in hand. But, I mean, it's kind of like what you said. Like, I have some friends who are a little bit maybe stronger in certain areas that are like, more accountability partner. Like, Janae, I would say she's more of like an accountability partner, and Dory more of an accountability partner for me, where like we check in with like, what are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on? Like, and we kind of hold each other to higher standards, and are very intentional about like checking in about, you know, about different areas in our walks with the Lord that maybe we're struggling with. But then I have some friends, and usually if I'm going through a season where I need that accountability a little bit more, then they kind of, you know, come to the forefront. And then some other people, you know, kind of go into the, you know, background a little bit. And then I have the, you know, other friends who, you know, love the Lord, and it's time for me to be the one who pours into that person more. And I don't know, like there's just different phases, but I feel like everybody in my core group are all on a journey of becoming their best self, and on a journey towards, you know, walking out God's plan, God's will for their lives. Because I don't know, I guess I personally don't really see I don't know, if I can't connect on a spiritual level with somebody, like there's really nothing to talk about for me. And then maybe that's just I'm a little bit rigid, but I also just am very protective over my spirit and myself. So I don't know, like I just feel like I'm not good at just surface stuff. Like I can't just have like, I can have a surface conversation, be cool, whatever, but like that doesn't fuel me. Like, to me, it's just kind of like, I'd rather be at home watching TV.
But think about, I guess this is kind of how I think about it. For the friend that I have that's not necessarily, now they're not like a Satan or a devil worshiper or anything like that. Like, as far as I know and can tell, they, at the very least, acknowledge and believe that there is a God and that there is a Jesus and all that. Past that, that may be kind of where it ends. But I feel like, again, and it goes back to like the respect, like them being respectful of me. We've even had conversations. I don't know, it's just, it has not been an issue. Like, I know where I stand and where I fall, and I feel like very secure in my beliefs and stuff like that. And we don't necessarily try to sway each other any one way or not, but I always feel like my prayer, just as a person, is if there's anyone who doesn't really know the Lord like that maybe something about me, or something about them getting to know me, or something about the way I've lived my life, or anything like that, might just soften their heart one day. So I always think about that, and I always kind of pray about that. But we've had some deep conversations. Like, it hasn't necessarily been surface, and it's just not been an issue, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, it could be different for people who don't believe. Like, I had a coworker who was, I don't know, I always confuse atheist and agnostic. But I had a coworker who was an atheist, and we're not still friends now, but I think we would be friendly to each other if we saw each other. And we would have conversations all the time about stuff like that, and I was praying for them too. But they were a little bit too far gone into the non-belief and just like the super strong skepticism of how I felt, that I didn't feel like we could be very close friends, even though we still were, like I said, very friendly, very cordial. Like, I didn't avoid that person or anything like that. But yet, you can't be so far that I'm like, then it may be too far for us to have any sort of common ground, if that makes sense. So I think it just depends on where it's at. But I have not found it to be a problem yet.
Yeah. But I also feel like there's levels to friendships too. Mm-hmm. Like, you have your core friendships, and you have like people that you call friend, but you don't really kick it like that. Mm-hmm. And then you have like, everybody
but I'm talking
else.
about a friend that I talk to on a regular basis. And kick it with. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I would say too, like, even for all of us, if you think of just like our little group of friends, we all love God for sure, and we all are trying to see God's will for our lives, but we're all over the place in terms of
absolutely
what that looks like.
Absolutely.
Like, some of us don't, because I don't think you're the only one who doesn't like church, because I think Missy doesn't like church anymore either.
Right, she doesn't. She doesn't.
You know, some of us, you know, we're kind of on different places in terms of how that it shows up in our life, I guess you want to say. And maybe some people, I don't know, because I'm not really doing it, but some people believe like in service real heavy, like going out and doing service and being in the community and doing stuff like that. I think that stuff is important, but I really don't do it in the way that I probably should. So I don't know, I think you can love, I don't know, it's such a layered,
it's such
a layered thing. It's hard to really articulate.
Yeah, I get that. What do you guys think? I'm curious to know, like, do you guys feel that it is important to have your friends be equally yoked? Obviously not in the same way you would be, you know, a significant other.
Because I know some people who would say you really can't be a Christian without going to church.
I've heard that too, and that's total BS in my opinion. Just because you go to church don't mean nothing. Doesn't mean nothing. Like Joyce Meyer says, just because you stand in a garage doesn't make you a car.
That's facts.
That is facts.
That is facts.
But what do you guys think? Do you feel like it's important to be equally yoked with your friendships or not? Let us know in the comments.
I feel like this could almost, I don't know how long we've been going. I feel like we could almost even do like a part 2 on this. Because we never really got to the point of what to do if your friendships go wrong.
That's true.
Do you try to bring them back, revitalize them? Or do you let them go? Like, when to know when to let go? We didn't even get on that, so we may have to.
Okay.
You touched on it a little bit, but I think we could probably go deeper. I think the people will want to. Do y'all want a part 2?
Let us know.
I think we need to go a little bit deeper into breakups in friendships. And
because I've had one of those.
Yeah, but it definitely happens. Like, you have breakups in your friendships. You have deceit. You have like different things that happen. That stuff doesn't just happen in romantic relationships. It happens in friendships.
Absolutely.
And we maybe need to talk about it. Oh, should we need to come back for a part 2?
I think we should.
It's been decided.
All right. So stay tuned for that. So we're going to stop right here because we've been going for a minute.
Yeah.
And let us know in the comments what you think on this topic.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm chewing this gum like a barnyard cow. It was just sitting on the table. Call him a name. It's such poor manners. I apologize.
You're fine. Y'all be all right. Y'all be all right.
Somebody gonna say, "Why she chewing that gum?"
Oh, I used to get so much heat for chewing gum on my
Oh, really?
channel.
See?
Oh my
Yeah, I know
gosh,
it's coming.
so much.
My bad,
But
y'all.
anyway, y'all. All right, well, stay tuned for part 2. We'll talk about how to, or if you should, restore a relationship that is dying or is dead. So stay tuned. But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you on the next
Real Talk Thursday.